And we are back. Welcome back to part 2 of making a kick-ass Space Marine Sergeant. Um, I've got my wet palette ready to go, and just I've talked about it a little bit. I'm not sure if I've shown it, but it doesn't hurt to show it if this is your first time seeing it. I've got a wet palette here. This is a homemade little wet palette, and all it is, honestly, is, let's just focus. Ooh, it's way exposure. Um, it's just a little thing of Tupperware filled with water and a little square sponge, and I've cut just regular, just tracing paper to the same size as the sponge. We just put it on the sponge. It likes to curl up, so just keep pushing the edges down for a minute, and that'll stay in place in just a second. Once the paper actually gets wet. And then I just kind of try and flatten it out. It'll wrinkle a little bit. But here we go, wet palette. Yeehaw. So let's focus where we're going to want our focus here. Perfect. There you go. You guys can see him, right? I'm flaming Xenos. I'm awesome. Double hand flamers. Okay. Tone it down. What I'm going to do is, these are all the colors I'm going to use here. We're going to do the metals first, actually, is what I've decided. So rather than doing all my base coats, and then all my washes, and then all my highlights, I'm going to do each color section individually. So we're starting with Warplock Bronze, and then we're going to use Bolt Gun Metal. So Warplock Bronze on all the metal, Bolt Gun Metal on the metal bits, gold on the gold bits, and then this Rune Lord Brass I like for like a anything that's kind of neither of those, so I'm going to use that on the tips of the flamer. Then we're going to shade the gold bits and the brass bits in oil, and then the gold is going to get washed with sepia, and then everything's going to get highlighted with a Rune Fang Seal. For those of you that don't know, the lead belcher is the new bolt gun metal, so I still have some more bolt gun metal lying around. But I'm going to get all my colors ready. So we're going to shake them up. And we're just going to get a healthy dab of that right there. Great. We're going to get, rinse off our brush. Rinse off our brush. There we go. Shake up our bolt gun metal. Great. Let me focus back here so you guys can see what I'm putting on the palette. Get our gold. The gold I find you have to play with a little bit. It likes to separate, so on the palette I'm going to have to mix it up a lot. You guys might see this as it goes along. The kind of the not the pigment part of the paint, but whatever the hell that other part is, likes to separate. So brass. Oops, did you guys see what I'm doing here? All right. And the last one, the Rune Fang Steel, for highlighting, for making everything purdy. All right, so you guys see all my paint's right there, ready to go. What's nice about having this too is if I forget a spot, it's so easy just to grab a little bit of the other color and go in and fix it up. So because his arms are magnetized, I can take those off to get to things easier. Okay, so let's see what we want to see here. Come on, no phone. Focus. Come on now. I know you can focus on that. Technical difficulties here. There we go. Lock it in place. Okay. So we're just going to start with the Warplock Bronze, getting our brush wet, but not soaked. So it's wet, and it gives us a nice little tip there. Excellent. So we're just going to load up our brush, and we're getting, I'm twisting the brush as I get the paint off it to keep the tip nice. It doesn't matter too much with this, but I still have a pretty decent shaped tip here. A little water on the edge. And then we're just going to go in and get all the bits that we want to be metal. So we want the exhaust on the jump out. Oh, I forgot his. I magnetized that. Hey, there we go. We're just filling in. Now you do need to be a little more careful since the armor is airbrushed. It's harder to fix any mistakes. Like I already got a little bit on the edge right there. I'm just going into, not really focusing on what I'm doing, trying to watch the camera frame here, so you guys can see what I'm doing. But on like painting it on, if I cover up some of those transitions that I made, it's almost impossible to go in and fix it. But it's a great spot for battle damage. So there's ways around it. If you make a mistake, you just hide it. So, and since we're kind of putting a couple layers on, I don't need to worry about this being super thick. What else do we want to paint? Metal. I think that's going to be it. I found I'm going to paint the rivets on the back here, but I don't need to go crazy with the Rune Lord brass on those. What are you going to get? Metal. We're going to do the edges of this. Get that nice and focused so you can see that. So I'm just going to poke the tip of the brush in there and just drag it along the edge. And I don't have much paint on there. There was a lot of water in that. There we go. Now we're good to go. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. So just painting the edges there. And then this is going to be gold. I'm going to do all these little guys gold. Right, so doing Rune Lord brass here. I'm sorry, Warplock bronze. Just because metal, anything metal goes over that. That's so nice. I like to do all the seams on his power armor. Metal. Now I don't normally magnetize the jump packs. I figured if I'm going to be doing a better job on this guy, I can do that. As well as if I want to turn him into something else, I can easily magnetize a regular pack on his back. Since he's a kick-ass model. I used some of my favorite bits, like favorite armor pieces for him. That's what you do with the sergeants though, right? Okay. Hopefully I haven't been too sniffly. I just had some lunch that involved hot sauce, so sometimes it makes me ill. And I don't realize it, but you guys don't hear that. Okay. So we're already at 7 minutes. This is going to be a longer section. That airbrushing goes quick though. You can see how quickly you can lay down a color. All right. We're going to do it. We're going to take the time and put in the effort. He's the sergeant to paint these. I almost decided not to do it. Gold. What do you guys think? Should they be gold skulls or skull-colored skulls? Let's do gold skulls because they're little. They're not real skulls at that size. So even I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes you figure it out as you go. A little more paint. And yeah, this way my paint's using the wet palette. My paint I can kind of easily thin and get just the right consistency that I want. I don't have to worry about it drying out on a non-wet palette or keep going into the pot, you know. Brushing from the pot, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. That's okay, everybody learns. I started brushing out of the pot. Yeah, but this wet palette cost me all like $5 at Walmart, maybe. Don't tell your, oh, here comes my dog. Hi, Ryder. That, what do you do with that? Oh, I'm recording a video for the internet. That, put me in the video. Well, the camera's on a tripod, so you're not going to really be in frame, but you can walk around and make noise. Okay, done. That's my little pug. He's a cute little guy. Ryder, what army would you play if you were playing? Oh, no, Dad. Probably play Demons, Dad. That's my boy. I know we're playing Blood Angels right now, so they don't hear Demons, but... that's a tricky spot behind that knee. we're going to get it. We're going to be thorough for thoroughness' sake. So I know that when I paint the rope and the washes I'm going to put in there will cover up any extra that I get. Okay, so that's in there. Oop. All right. I think that's all the metal on his armor. We got the jump pack. Let's get guns. Okay. This is nice because there's nothing near it, so I can really go crazy with my brush. Let's close that door. Okay. So how are you guys liking the new 7th edition that just came out? We just recorded a podcast. I guess it's worth mentioning. We do a podcast called Stupid Hammer, which is also where I'm going to post some of these videos. You guys should check it out if you haven't. And let us know your thoughts. We like to have a little fun, but we like to try and have a serious discussion about the game in general and our thoughts on it. Everybody's got an opinion, right? So that's what the internet's for. But yeah, we just recorded a kind of a long episode, kind of talking about the changes and some first impressions with 7th. And so far, I'll be honest, I like it. There is some, it's a new edition after 2 years. I get you. Do we really need it? Is it worth it? Could it have just been, could it have been an update? I don't like the psychic phase. New stuff's broken, but let's enjoy the hobby. Let's enjoy it. I think overall the rule book was written out really well. It's good to see. I think they're starting to get their act together with the rules. We'll see. But until then, yeah, I'm really excited about getting my Blood Angels back on the table. Although I don't know if they really gained a lot in this edition. Just Blood Angels are awesome. And they should actually. I mean, rumors are I think they're after orcs, right? So another month or two maybe. I'm okay with that. Maybe make Mephiston an independent character. Let him join a unit. Maybe make Dante Eternal Warrior. Come on now. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing? He's the oldest Space Marine alive. Doesn't have Eternal Warrior. Thousands of years old. No Eternal Warrior. Oh well. Okay. So having a really good brush is obviously a big part of this. It's hard to get into these little areas and get the details without having a good brush, and that's also why I want to get that good point when I'm loading up my brush, so I can really get it in there. Now, a lot of the stuff that you paint, at least for me anyway, I paint things that I know are unlikely to be seen. But if we get everything, the subtle things that you don't realize that you're seeing, you will still see. Right? It's that whole total package. You might not notice that, hey, he painted that little thing, but when someone looks at the model, there's just a certain realism, and they don't notice all the work you did, other than the fact they notice that it is awesome. So don't be afraid to go in and put in the extra effort. And paint things like the backs of your guns that you might not see, especially if you've magnetized the arms. I started the hobby with Tomb Kings, and I used to paint the back of their shields and highlight the backs of their shields and then glue them on their arms. Yeah. And those were my first models I ever painted. It's just the way I do things. But if you're watching this and you want to be a better painter, that's one of the things you want to do. Okay, so I think that's all the gold bits. We're going to do him bone, just because. Oh, metal bits here. So I like to do my Blood Angel wings golds. I think a lot of people do them white, but I don't. I do them gold. Well, they're very regal, right? Sparkly vampires and all. Fuck you. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Blood angels don't sparkle. I mean, they might glisten if they're soaked in your blood after whooping your ass, but they don't sparkle. Team Dante. Okay. 15 minutes. Yeah, this is going to be a longer video, but that's okay. All right. So next step is colors. So let's do the bulk gunmetal parts first. If I try to remember what order I painted them in, my paint should be dry when I go to paint the next layers. So bolt gunmetal. And again, that warp block bronze just really helps you get the next metal in one coat. Especially that gold takes a lot of coats if you don't put something else down. But it gives it a kind of a shade that you don't really notice or appreciate. But if you did two parts side by side, it almost would have been worth doing one of these vents not warp block bronzed and then the other warp block bronze. Again, it's the subtle stuff, but that's what we're after. You're not going to watch my painting videos to find out how to do something super fast, sorry. It's just not how I roll. Although sometimes I get things done fast. Okay. That's that. We'll do these. And I didn't shake up my bolt gunmetal enough because I'm really not getting the coverage I want. It's kind of almost behaving like a wash. It's sinking into the creases, and I'm not. It's just I don't have enough pigment. Let's try it again. Okay. Whoa, way too much paint. Part of it was my brush. I might not have been getting dry enough either. Yeah, there we go. Whoops. There we go. Okay. Okay, that's good on him. Known as flamers. Don't say it. Blood angels and flamers. Put them. Sorry, I told you not to say it, and then I went ahead and said it. What are you gonna do? I'm just that kind of guy. Okay, that's one. Whoops, hit the camera. It's almost like I punched you guys. Bow, bow, bow. Fuck you, viewers. Okay. Thanks for subscribing. I'm noticing a lot of people subscribing to my videos. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy and want to do more of this stuff for you guys. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for checking me out and taking your precious time to watch the stuff that I'm doing. A couple of you guys have actually asked like where certain parts of some videos are, or when's the next thing I'm doing. Um, the hobby bug is fickle. And some of those videos I did a while ago and completely forgot that I said I was going to do like another part 2 of that. And while I do plan on, going back and doing more of that stuff, some of it is, I get in this one project and then, like I've been working on a lot on Chaos, but Blood Angels took my fancy, so I completely stopped, my Chaos Space Marine army to do Blood Angels, just because that's how it, if you try and fight the hobby and it becomes more like work, then you don't want to do it, and that's no fun for anybody. So, some of that stuff will be coming. Some of it may be a long time, or at least the intention is to have it happen. So, all right. This is one of my favorite metals, this Rune Lord Brass. Just ask Brian. Turned him onto this stuff, and it's just such a good metallic color. Especially if you're going to do, I use this as the base for all my verdigris and patina and like weathered copper. It comes out so good. We're going to do kind of like a heat effect on this stuff before we're done here, but that's not going to be in this video because it's going to require some airbrushing. We're not going to break the airbrush back out for this. Okay. And as always, make sure you drill out your barrels. Okay, that's one flama done. Yeah, I'm never really sure, like you see the parts that I did on metal on this gun, but on the body of the gun, I'm never really sure what's supposed to be metal, what's supposed to be like, colored, so half the guns I've done, I've probably put metal on different parts of the gun. I don't know if there's a rule, I'm sure someone out there could tell me. So and it may seem silly just, doing the separate parts of this different colors of metal. Instead of just doing like the whole muzzle part brass, but I like having multiple colors. That breaks up the pattern and it makes it pleasing to the eye. And that's what we're going for right when we paint this stuff, so. Okay, I think that was all the brass metal. Onto the gold! Yeah, and if you look here, you can see that gold's already starting to separate, if you see what I'm talking about. So we got to make sure we kind of mix it up. Now, gold is the color I have to paint, at least with this Auric Armor Gold, GW calls it. I kind of have to load the brush up a little more. It just needs more paint, but you kind of have to do it specifically. If I get the brush completely loaded, it doesn't really work. I need a lot loaded, but just kind of on the tip. So I find this is what works better for me trying to paint that stuff. I don't know why the paint behaves that way, but it does. If I load up the tip of the brush, I get better coverage. If I get like the whole brush soaked, it just doesn't work. I don't know what the physics are behind that, but that's just how she works. Let me get back into focus here, sorry. It's hard to look at what you're painting and pay attention to the camera, so I apologize. If you're still with me, sweet. Yeehaw! Get that little cup. You paint that cup. You paint that cup good. Drawing balls. Okay. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Scholars have pondered for centuries. That's not true because I'm only 33. There's no way they could have been pondering why I'm crazy for centuries if I haven't been alive for centuries. It's science. I have many fine leather-bound books. My apartment smells of rich mahogany. I have neither of those things. I do not have an apartment or house or building that smells like mahogany. Nor do I have many fine leather-bound books. Probably have a couple. But. So what are you guys' thoughts on, so the new edition, We talked about this in the podcast last night, but Blood Angels Death Company are troops, yet they have a rule that tells them that they don't score. But if I take a dedicated transport for them, does that transport score? I vote yes. They have a rule, the Black Rage, and within it, it mentions that they can never score or hold an objective. So, I forgot to look up to see if Death Company Dreadnoughts can score, which I think they can because they don't have anything that says they can't. Unlike the actual Death Company, they're troops, but vehicles weren't scoring in 5th edition, so they didn't bother saying Death Company Dreadnoughts don't score. That right there is a great example of somehow, sometimes you say like, oh, why would you give, and I think in one of the data slates, I think it was for Bellicor, they specifically give him the rule move through cover. But monstrous creatures already have move through cover. So it seems like redundant to write that rule, but in 3 editions, which will be next week, the edition 9, that may actually be worth writing and having some redundancy in case they take something like that out. So don't just take it for granted. I'd rather have more rules than not enough. Look at that. Look how sharp that's going to look. Okay. Where are we at on time? 26 minutes. You still with me? Probably should have stopped talking and then played this at like a high speed. But that's not my style. Then you guys also get a feel for how long it really takes. As well as I'll get a feel. I haven't timed myself with this particular paint scheme, how long it takes to do an individual model. Now, I'm not worried too much about getting in the depths here because I'm going to give it a wash. That's going to fill in some of those spots in the back, so I don't have to worry about that too much. Alright, so I've changed my mind in terms of how I'm going to do these videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the wash on these guys, and then I'm going to do another video of all the base coats, and then we'll do all the highlighting in one video. Because this is getting a little long, but the highlights won't take that long to do. So, did we get everything we wanted? Gold and metal and brass? I think so. Alright, so it's time for the washes. So we're going to use Nuln Oil on everything but the gold. Now the washes I do paint out of the pot. I give them a good shake. That gets plenty of wash up in this little top part. And I do load the brushes up pretty heavily, and then we're gonna wash it. Now if there's too much wash in there, you just wash another part, and then as the brush gets a little light, you can go in and just actually poke at it, and the bristles will absorb and pull in that extra wash because that's a little too much there. Okay. And I've actually found in some parts of the armor that's red, still putting a little wash to add some depth. So this little spot under his little power armor here looks good with a black wash on it. You could put a black wash in this crease there if you wanted. Get in the vents here. And if you almost do like a reverse highlight and just paint the wash in the creases, you can get a good effect. Okay. That's everything we wanted to wash there. This is a quick one. We're just going to wash these. I was thinking of doing this little part in here metal, but we're just going to give that a black wash, and that'll separate it enough for me. We're going to give this a black wash. I'm not even sure what that is, if that's supposed to be metal. But let it go. Okay, and the guns. Aha, look, I missed something. See how easy it's going to be to go back and fix? I missed the metal on this gun. You guys were probably watching that and yelling at me. You son of a bitch, you forgot the metal on the gun. I got it, guys. Don't panic. I also want you guys to know I'm enduring a little bit of pain for you. My right leg, the way I'm sitting to have the camera here, is cutting off the circulation in my foot, and it went to sleep about 5 minutes ago. And it's really getting bothersome. But we're almost there. You gotta hold tough. For you guys, sacrifice comfort and safety. Okay. We'll wash this tank, give it a little depth and okay, gotta be careful with this one because I just did that metal and I don't think it's dry yet. In fact, I think some of that brass isn't dry yet either, so we're gonna be real careful. We're just gonna. Oh, yeah, we just ruined that. Just ruined it. Have some patience. So I'm just cleaning off the brush, getting it nice and dry, and then just jabbing it in there, and I'll pull off the extra. So while we're waiting for that, we'll do the sepia on the gold. And then I'll come back to that for you guys. I guess actually you guys get the picture. We'll cut the video after the sepia. The sepia on the gold does some really nice stuff. So if you guys aren't using sepia, you're also doing it wrong. Sepia is a great wash. The old Griffin sepia, now the Seraphim sepia. Really one of my favorite washes. That's what I washed the power armor in my not power armor, Terminator armor and Deathwing. Was the sepia over an off-white, so it wasn't quite a bone white, and the sepia gave it that, kind of brought it in line. Okay. All right. We got that. Get these wings. The other thing too that's nice is on the red, the sepia kind of almost blends away, so where you get the little extra off the edge, it almost does like its own nice little transition effect and really highlights the metal that you're painting. So we're okay with that. All right. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll come back in and do another base coat. See you in a bit.